afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Mary Beth, and thank you all for joining us today for this mayoral election comes to fruition. This is a time where our city is experiencing significant growth and prosperity, but as we all know, significant challenges and pressing issues. Our next mayor will need to tackle longstanding challenges like affordable housing, economic development, and education. And she, yes, she, yet another she, will have, exactly, will have to work effectively in collaboration with the chamber, other stakeholders, her fellow council members to solve these problems and to create positive changes for our community. This shift in leadership will have lasting effects on the quality of life for all Las Vegans, making this election one of the most crucial in recent history. The reality is that the next mayor of Las Vegas will face several important issues. They're being discussed right now throughout Southern Nevada and, frankly, in Nevada and across our country. Things like infrastructure and our public works projects top that list. Economic diversification and workforce development continue to be a focus. Building a more resilient economy and preparing for future opportunities and economic challenges. Understanding these issues and being on the same page with our community are critical. By participating in this election, you can help make sure that your priorities are reflected in the city's policies and initiatives. That's why I'm so excited that we have people here to help register you to vote if you aren't already registered. We want our mayor to be focused and driven. And we as leaders in Las Vegas and our residents need to be dedicated to creating that prosperous future together. That's why you're all here today. That's why the Chamber puts on events like this, to make sure that we're informed, that we have eyes on our candidates so we know who they are, what they stand for, when we show up at that ballot box or drop that ballot in the mail, that you know who you're voting for and what they stand for. So, now, I've already talked to you about your civic duty. Please show up to vote. Don't care if you show up in person. Don't care if you drop it in the ballot box. Don't care if you vote early. Don't care if you put it in the mail. Show up. Our voter turnout stinks in this state. It stinks in our city, and we need to do better about it. So please show up and vote. I have to tell y'all, I'm a little bit cranky today. I'll forewarn the candidates. I have a little bit of a knee problem today. I decided to stand despite this knee problem, and so if I get cranky, somebody just raise your hand and say, hey, Betsy, you're being a little cranky today. Be nicer to them. But I'm known for being direct, so that's what y'all get today. Larry just said, how do we know the difference? Okay. All right, so we shared the rules of this debate with the participants, so I want to just tell you how we got here today. In true Las Vegas fashion, we opened a deck of cards in the back room earlier, and the candidate that drew the highest card got to pick the podium. That was Shelley Berkley, and she picked this first podium right here closest to me. Then the order of the speakers was determined by a coin flip. Victoria Seaman won the coin flip, and she will be speaking first today. We will alternate questions as a result of that. So Victoria will have opening comments, followed by Shelley, and then Shelley will have the first question. I probably should clean that up. So Councilwoman Seaman will start, and then it will be followed by Congresswoman Berkley, and then we will go to the first question, and Congresswoman Berkley will have the first question. That's how it will work. Each of them will get 2 minutes to answer each question, and then there will be a 1-minute rebuttal. All right. They did not get the questions in advance, so these should be a surprise. There may be a few that you've probably heard in other places, but we tried to spice it up a bit. All right, and we wanted to make sure that they were relevant to the mayor, the city council, and city operations, so we didn't really talk about things that are unfolding at the federal level, all right? The debate is anticipated to last about 45 minutes. So, any questions about that from the audience? Good. All right, moving on. Let's meet our candidates. First, I would like to introduce Shelley Berkley. Shelley Berkley is a dedicated public servant represented by Nevada's 1st Congressional District she represented Nevada's 1st Congressional District from 1999 to 2013. She championed healthcare, education, and Veterans Affairs. Recently, she concluded her tenure as a senior VP of Touro University System, where she served as the CEO and senior provost, driving progress and innovation in education. Please welcome former Congresswoman Shelley Berkley to the stage. Welcome, welcome. Victoria Seaman brings a wealth of experience in the private and public sectors to her candidacy for mayor. As a former member of the Nevada Assembly and current Las Vegas City Councilwoman, she has been a staunch advocate for fiscal responsibility, public safety, animal welfare, and small businesses. She is dedicated to improving the quality of life for all Las Vegans by focusing on public safety, affordable housing, infrastructure development, and educational reform. Please welcome Councilwoman Victoria Seaman. As I mentioned, as determined by the coin toss, I'm going to ask Councilwoman Victoria Seaman to start us off with her opening remarks. Councilwoman.
Thank you so much, Betsy, and thank you, Vegas Chamber, thank you to the sponsors, and thank you all for being here. I have been on the City Council now for 5 years. I spent 2 years in the Nevada State Assembly, and I have a proven record of getting things done. When I first got elected to the City Council, there were some animal advocates that came to my office very angry and with good reason. They felt like their voices weren't being heard. We had a decades-old problem with a multi-jurisdictional shelter in the city. And then Darcy Spears brought me story after story for decades, but no council member or jurisdiction wanted to deal with the problem. Neither did my council members. It took me 2 years of investigating to find out that we could do better. And after 2 years, I brought the council together, and we were able to get an RFP going out very soon and buy back our shelter with 3 jurisdictions. And the reason that I tell you that story is because there is no issue that is too tough for me to confront. There is no issue that I'm going to kick down the road as your mayor, whether it be public safety, affordable housing, or homelessness. I will take on that issue as your leader. We can't afford to be California, and we can't afford another Badlands. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Congresswoman Berkley, I turn it to you for your opening remarks.
Thank you, Betsy, and thank everybody here at the Chamber Luncheon today. It's a pleasure to see everybody here. I am the granddaughter of immigrants that came to this country in order to escape the Holocaust. I have devoted my life to public service as my way of giving something back to this country, not only for taking my family in and giving us an opportunity to survive, which we did, but an opportunity to thrive, which we certainly have. From the earliest time when I was student body president of UNLV, serving in the Nevada State Assembly, on the University and Community College Board of Regents, and then as your representative in the United States Congress for 7 terms, I have worked to repay the debt I believe I have to this country. But sometimes I think people don't realize I'm also a working woman. When I got out of law school, I was deputy director of the State Commerce Department, overseeing savings and loans, banking, mortgage companies, and credit unions. I know finance. Then I was in-house counsel for Southwest Gas Corporation. I know energy law. Vice President of Government and Legal Affairs at the Old Sands Hotel. I know gaming and I know tourism, and if you're going to be the mayor of Las Vegas, you ought to know something about your major industry. And then finally, for 9.5 years, I was the CEO and senior provost of the largest and most successful medical school in the state of Nevada, Touro University. We're educating the next generation of healthcare providers for the state of Nevada. I am ready on day one to take the reins of the city of Las Vegas. I want my experience, my background, and my knowledge to be working for everybody that calls Southern Nevada home, including my children and my grandchildren. 4 generations of my family have called Las Vegas home, and I'm very proud of that, and I'm very proud to be here with you today. Thank you very much.
Thank you both for your insightful comments. I think it's really important for everybody to get a good sense of who you are and your background, so thank you very much for taking the time to give us your overview of that. Both of you know I'm the former city manager.
Yes,
served for quite a long time. And having had that experience, I'm going to kind of throw you both a softball for the first question, but it's a really important question because setting the vision for the city as the mayor is critically important, both in setting the tone with your council, but with the city staff, and helping frame up what's going to get accomplished in your 4, 8, or 12 years. So my question for you is, please share that vision with us. And when the bell rings and it's 2035, because I'm assuming you're all going to serve, whoever wins is going to serve 12 years. I may be wrong, but I'm an optimist. And it takes sometimes that long to get something done. In 2035, and you're looking back, what does the city look like? What does the city look like in 2035 because of your vision, and what are those key priorities that got you there? We will start with Congresswoman Berkley.
Yes. Thank you, Betsy, and that's a great question. I think the next 10 years throughout Southern Nevada, and particularly the city of Las Vegas, are going to be explosive. We're getting the A's, and that's going to be another stadium, more jobs, and more tourists, more jobs. In a few years, I think we're going to get an NBA team, and that's going to mean more tourism and more jobs. We have to deal with the issues that are confronting us now: public safety, homelessness, affordable housing, economic growth and development, but we also need to ensure that we are thinking about our future and what is this city going to look like a decade from now. This is my vision. We're going to have virtually no unemployment because everybody that wants a job is going to be able to share in the success of the city. We're going to have unprecedented growth. We're going to be able to provide housing for everybody in the city, whether it's at the top of the food chain or towards the bottom, but everybody will be adequately housed. We're going to have, in addition to enough jobs and enough housing, where are we going in the future? I want to see the city of Las Vegas as the art hub of Southern Nevada. So people will leave the Strip and come down to downtown Las Vegas, where they could enjoy so many amenities of art, because that's who we are as a country and as a community. It's culture that's so important. AI has the possibility of swamping all of us. We need to get a handle on technology and use it for our benefit, not only for the benefit of the city, but for the benefit of individual people that are going to be impacted by artificial intelligence and other technology that's being developed. I want to be able to discuss, and what's the beauty of the mayor, it may not be in your job description, but you have a bully pulpit to talk about transportation options, to talk about ensuring that our children have the best possible education, and making sure that everybody has access to affordable health care.
Congresswoman.
Thank you very much, Betsy.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to try and keep you guys on the schedule
Please.
so that we make sure everybody has equal opportunity. All right, so, Councilwoman.
Well, I'm glad Ms. Berkley brought up art because we are in the process of getting an art museum now.
Yes.
Working on a children's hospital, a big priority for me. We're a growing city, and collaboratively working with everyone, all the jurisdictions, because we have to keep up with the growth. Economic development is very important to me. We have a great economic development department. I see some of them here. And we work to bring in businesses from other states and other cities. It's very important to get manufacturing here. We don't have enough manufacturing. We have gaming and it's great, but there are we need to diversify the economy. And we have a great team. We've also taken the lead when it comes to education, creating our own charter school and our Strong Start academies, and we're going to continue doing that. We're ahead of everyone when it comes to affordable housing. We've got 4 projects in the works right now that are amazing that I want to talk about sometime during this forum. And also, the most important thing is public safety. If we don't have a safe environment, people aren't going to move here, they're not going to come here, we're not going to have the tourists that we have coming here. So that is really important for me. I have a great relationship with our law enforcement. Every association in the state of Nevada has endorsed me, and that is because I will make sure that they continue to have all the tools that they need to keep our tourists safe, us safe, and themselves safe. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Congresswoman Berkley, you get a 1-minute rebuttal if you would like it.
All right, thank you very much. Our elected sheriff, I think, does a remarkable job in keeping us safe. But public safety is the #1 issue in our community. People are feeling vulnerable and worried. And we need to work with, as you know, the city and county fund the metro budget. We need to make sure that the money we are providing to Metro is enough to take care of their needs, hiring more officers and making sure that they have the equipment and the tools they need to keep all of us safe. In addition to that, economic growth and development. I love the gaming industry. I was in it for 9.5 years and loved it. But we also have to diversify our economy so we are not solely dependent on the gaming industry. And as a member of the Las Vegas Global Alliance Board for 10 years, I have made it a priority to ensure that we can attract...
Congresswoman, thank you.
You're
Thank you,
welcome.
All right. The next question, we will start with Councilwoman Seaman. You know, as mayor, you're one of 7. You got to work as a team. And at the same time, as mayor, you're looked to as the leader. You're elected at large. All the residents look to you for that leadership. So once you're elected, how do you plan to lead the city and work with the city council members to achieve consensus and compromise to address city priorities?
Thank you for that question, and I think I've pretty much answered it in my opening statement. You know, a lot of times council members need to be educated on issues. It did take 2 years to come to a consensus on the Animal Foundation, but we did it. And it really doesn't matter. We need that debate. It is important that you don't have a rubber stamp, that you have council members who debate and talk about the issues. It's the same thing with the way I work with the county. I have a good relationship with the county commissioners, and we work together on issues. I worked with Commissioner Kirkpatrick on the Animal Foundation. It is important. I don't believe that you need to hear everyone's voice, and that includes every council member. So I feel like I've accomplished a lot. Every ordinance that I've ever done in City Council has passed. And so I really appreciate that question. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you for the response. Congresswoman Berkley, would you like me to repeat the question?
Would you mind?
Sure. Once elected, how do you plan to lead the city and work with the city council members to achieve consensus and compromise to address city priorities?
Okay. Betsy, I've been around so long that people that didn't like me again because they can't remember why they didn't like me. I have a reputation of working well with people. I'm collaborative. I believe in listening to all points of view and then getting the job done. I have received a majority of city council people have endorsed my campaign, and a majority of those in the county commission have endorsed my campaign. But more than an endorsement, what I know is that there isn't a person in the state of Nevada or in our federal delegation that I can't call that won't return my phone call. I have worked very closely with all of the members of the County Commission and North Las Vegas City Government and Henderson City Government and our own City of Las Vegas government. People depend on me to bring others together and work well and cooperatively. In the city of Las Vegas, you must get 4 votes in order to pass anything. You can have the most brilliant ideas in the world. If you can't communicate them and you can't work well with other members of the city council and other elected people in Southern Nevada, you're not going to be able to get the job done. One of the things about being mayor that I love is it doesn't matter if you're a Republican. It doesn't matter if you are a Democrat. It matters that you have the ability to get things done and work cooperatively with all the jurisdictions and all of the stakeholders. And that is my reputation, and that is what I will continue to be as your mayor of Las Vegas.
Thank you, Congresswoman. Councilwoman, you have a 1-minute rebuttal. You pass?
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Let's transition to talk a little bit more about city functions and values as it relates to city policies and actions. And I want to talk for a moment about transparency. I know that this is something that's highlighted in many of your websites, things that you value. I know that it's something critically important that's been highlighted on the city's website and in its actions. So, as mayor, how would you intentionally incorporate transparency and accountability into the deliberative process in a meaningful way to gather feedback into council decisions that impact the business community? This is a business community in front of you, so it's critical that we take a focus on that. So we will start with you, Congresswoman Berkley.
Oh, thank you. Would you repeat the question, Betsy?
Yeah, sure.
Maybe an abbreviated
Yes,
way?
sure. How would you incorporate transparency and accountability into the deliberative process of council decisions that impact the business community?
When I was younger and politically immature, I thought it was very important to stake my position and make a big splash so everybody would pay attention to me. As I became more mature and more involved in government and public service, I realize that being a lone wolf doesn't do a thing for anybody but yourself, because you get to see yourself on television. So I have made it a point over the many years that I have been in public service to reach out to all of my colleagues. The hard work in being an elected official is convincing others of your position. I know that even though I will have a bully pulpit, if I am lucky enough to be elected your mayor of the city of Las Vegas, the reality is this: you have to count to 4 on the city council if you're going to get anything accomplished. And that means sitting down with your colleagues and convincing them of your point of view and listening to theirs. There might be something that they are suggesting that is better than what you're suggesting, and you incorporate it into what you do. I have a number of people sitting at the table that served, that were staff when I was in Congress. You all know that I had a series of advisory committee meetings that I ensured that every voice was heard in my congressional district, which of course overlaid the city of Las Vegas. Veterans, Hispanics, African Americans, women, every interest group should have a voice and should have access to the mayor of Las Vegas. I have no problem sitting down and sharing my vision and listening to other people's vision and coming to the right decision that's going to benefit all of the people of the city of Las Vegas.
Thank you, Congresswoman. Councilwoman.
So, I believe bringing in the stakeholders, that's the important thing for the accountability and transparency. And as I visit businesses, I have since I've been in 5 years, but I also go out a lot more and visit businesses and builders. And the most important thing is that they feel like they have changes that need to be made, and it's important to hear about those changes and bring it to our team, which I have done. And we are working on seeing how we can better the process for businesses. And one of the things that I would like to do as mayor is have a committee with the stakeholders that can meet together and talk about what is needing for more transparency and accountability in businesses, and really try to streamline how we're doing business here. I believe that was the question,
Yes,
right?
it was.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Congresswoman, you can have a one-minute rebuttal if you'd like.
Sure. I know a number of the young developers in town because mostly I went to their bar mitzvahs a number of years ago. They have a vision for this city that is absolutely extraordinary. And when I ask them, when I sit down with them and I say, what can I do? What can I do as mayor to make it better for you and make it easier for you to do business in the city? More often than not, they say, don't do anything. It's working just fine. And I think whoever is going to be the next mayor of Las Vegas, we are so lucky because we have a strong business community that encourages the growth and development of businesses, and we have a budget that puts us in the enviable position of being flush. And so whoever inherits the mayor's position is almost destined for success, because everything that we need for success and going to the next level in this city is already in place.
Thank you. Okay, so I want to transition a little bit, and it's kind of interesting that this landed with Councilman Seaman. I kind of almost feel a little bit bad about it. There have been a lot of headline grabbers for the city lately, right? And so we're going to talk about a few of those because I think it's important for the audience to hear your perspectives, both of you, on these issues because they have a profound impact on the city and the city's well-being and the future trajectory of growth in the city. So I would ask you if you're going to guess, Councilman Seaman, but pause. Badlands. All right, so Badlands has been a headline grabber for a while, right? So
I've been very
how do we
vociferous,
resolve it?
yeah.
You've been very involved in this. How does it get resolved?
Well, I've been very vociferous, so I really say Badlands. I don't whisper it because it's been well publicized where I've been at with Badlands from before I got elected. It was in the courts before I got elected. And I remember being interviewed by the Review Journal on what are you going to do about Badlands? And I said, if we don't settle Badlands, we're going to be writing a big check. And that has come to fruition. Mm-hmm. We have just paid for the 35 acres. I spent 5 years in meetings in the mayor's office with Johan Lowy, with opposing counsel, and we just did not have a council that was willing to settle that. We also have gone through 3 city managers since then and 3 city attorneys. We have an amazing city attorney and city manager right now. Yes, you can clap. That's our team over there. Yeah. Who are working diligently now to settle it. I hate to say I told you so, but I told you so. And this is, elections have consequences. And we are going to settle this, whether it's in the courts or without, but we are going to make sure for the taxpayers that we come out with mitigate as little damage as we can. Because this is something that should have never happened, but it did.
Let me ask a quick follow-up question, and then I'll pivot back to Congresswoman Berkley for her response. How do you manage that fiscal impact? Where are you going with that, Councilwoman?
So we've frozen some positions, but we will be able to sell that land, and it'll get developed. And that's the one thing that they didn't want. But it will get developed because we're going to have to sell that land. Now, we're going to make sure, as I said, that the taxpayers have as little damage as possible. But again, elections have consequences, and we need to make sure that this never, ever happens again. And one of the things that I would like to do as mayor is make sure every city council person that is onboarded is a little bit more educated in land use. I mean, there are some things that we can do, but here we are, and we're going to get it settled. I have a lot of confidence in our new city attorney and our new city manager, and they are working hard behind the scenes to make sure that we come out of this okay.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Congresswoman, what do you think about this Badlands situation, and how does it get resolved?
Well, a matter of full disclosure, I live in Queensridge, so I see that giant hole every day going into my complex and coming out of my complex. I think this will be one of the first things that has to be resolved if it isn't resolved before the new mayor takes office. With all due respect, Councilwoman, you have been there for 5 years. You have not been able to successfully conclude a negotiation. You can't get one other member of the City Council to go along with you and agree to settle this. Now, I don't have a Messiah complex, but I do believe in this instance that I am the only person that could sit down with not only my city, but with the developer and negotiate a deal that will protect the taxpayers of the city of Las Vegas and be satisfactory enough to the developer to help to make him whole. There has been so much bad faith, and if any of you have read the Supreme Court decision that came down siding with the developer, it was an embarrassment to the city, and we have to remedy this situation before it causes tremendous financial damage to the city that I love. Enough with outside counsel. My opponent, while she says that she wanted to settle Badlands, has voted 21 times to hire outside counsel. Right now, We are paying $20,000 a day in interest payments on the judgment that came down from the Supreme Court. I don't know about any of you, but I think the city of Las Vegas could be using that $20,000 a day for the good of the people of the city.
Thank you, Congresswoman. Councilwoman, your rebuttal. 1 minute.
It's easy to sit on the sidelines when you live in Queensridge and have never contacted the city about any of your ideas while you're making a hefty paycheck from Touro University. But now that you're running for mayor, you have all the answers. What I can tell you is that you have been endorsed by 3 of the council members that were nays on settling this. So I think it's very ignorant to come in and accuse somebody of not trying to settle it when the city can vouch for me spending time trying to settle this.
As I said in a prior debate, it was not my job to do your job, Victoria. If you were in a position to settle this, you should have done it. That's what you ran on, and you failed at what you promised to do.
All right, I know that this is a very sensitive subject. I think we need to move on to the next topic.
And I did make
Okay.
a good paycheck
All
at
right.
Touro.
All right. All right. Now, there are a lot of difficult subjects that council people have to wrestle, okay? This one's been particularly thorny. Let's talk a moment about homelessness. This has not been something simple for our country.
No.
It has not been something simple for our community. There have been some recent court cases that have kind of changed the landscape on how to manage homelessness, if you will, and the unhoused. So it's not just a downtown issue. It's not just an urban core issue. It's a community-wide issue. So what's your plan of action as mayor? In light of this changing circumstance and the increase in homelessness, how are you going to address it for our community? And we will start with, I believe we're with Councilwoman we're actually with Congresswoman Berkley.
Okay, thank you. I've done a deep dive on this issue. It is unsustainable what's happening now. I actually had a homeless person living under one of my A-frame signs on West Sahara until I sent Dave Marlin from Vegas Stronger to see what he could do to help. This is not an indictment on anybody or any organization working with the homeless. They're doing God's work and yeoman's work, trying to keep these people alive and sustained with food, with showers, with a place to stay. Rescue Mission, Catholic Charities, the Courtyard, Vegas Stronger, CARES, but none of them are designed to get people off the streets and self-sustaining. That is why I am so intrigued and have met on so many occasions with the people at Win Las Vegas. Between the $100 million that the legislature appropriated in the waning days of the last legislative session to be matched by the resort corridor, they are coming up with a plan that I think might be what we need to get people off the streets. Many of the people that are living on the streets have serious mental health challenges. We have to provide mental health therapy for these people, and I don't mean once a month when they can find a behavioral analyst that could take care of them or listen to them for a half hour. We need to have addiction help for these people that are either addicted to opioids or addicted to alcohol. We need to provide job training so that they can get a job that can sustain themselves, and then we need to provide transitional housing while we keep an eye on them for a year or so, and then into permanent housing. But the idea that we are working hard and spending a small fortune right now to keep people alive is not good enough for the people of Las Vegas. We need a solution.
Congresswoman, all right, we're moving on to Councilwoman Seaman.
Thank you for that question. I have to say, we all know that the unhoused does not know boundaries. The city of Las Vegas, I am very proud of the work that they have done. Before I got elected in 2017, they went down to the same Haven for Hope that the governor's team did. I know because I went with the governor's team. And they started the only shelter that we had, which was government entity in the city of Las Vegas. Now, when I first got elected in 2019, I was a little appalled at the condition. But we invested a lot of money, and I recently toured it, and it is like night and day of the work that we're doing. We have also teamed up and contracted Dave Marlin with Vegas Stronger. We have more teams that go out. In the city of Las Vegas, we have a camping ban. We took the lead on that camping ban. That means that it's twofold. Our more teams can go out, and we can offer them services. Businesses were calling us and saying, we can't have these encampments. They're destroying and interfering with the businesses. So we did that camping ban. But it gave us the opportunity, because we had the shelter, to get people into services, whether it be recovery, whether it be jobs, whether it be a ticket to go back home. We made sure that we're doing something. And I'm really proud of the work that the city has done.
Thank you. I have a quick follow-up question for you on that. You mentioned earlier you're working with the county on a variety of different topics. How has it been going with the county on working on that?
So I think they're working really closely with Governor Lombardo on the Campus of Hope. I think it's a great thing. When we went down to San Antonio, the city, when I say we, I wasn't with them, and they decided to replicate that, they did a great job. However, we only had, 2 acres? What the governor is doing is taking that same model into a much bigger facility, which is what we need, because this isn't just the city's responsibility. It's all of the entities. But we took the lead, like we do in many things.
Thank you. I appreciate the clarification. Congresswoman Berkley, you got a minute for rebuttal.
Thank you. Thank you, Betsy. I don't think anybody should be proud of how we are dealing with the homeless. It is a serious situation that is getting worse by the day. And we need to work with all of the jurisdictions, North Las Vegas, the county, Henderson, City of Las Vegas, to come up with solutions that are going to work and help get people off the streets and self-sustaining. It makes no sense to me if you have somebody with a mental health challenge, if you have somebody with an opioid addiction, to put them in an apartment or a hotel room. They can't take care of themselves. So we need a holistic approach, and believe me, with the money the city is spending on our homeless challenges, we certainly can be doing much better. And for anybody, and you need to talk to some of the employees at the courtyard that are very dismayed at what's going on there. We can do better, and I promise we will.
Thank you, Congresswoman.
Can I rebuttal?
All right.
I haven't heard one solution out of you.
Okay, so let's
You're not listening very carefully.
No, I am listening.
let's move to a next topic. The city's landlocked. All right, the city doesn't have the ability really to grow in its geographic boundaries because of public lands, and there's just really nowhere to go. So the city kind of has to go up, not out. Which means you may have some infill challenges, and you've seen some of those. I mean, whether it's the whole discussion around the Mormon temple and other density-related challenges for housing. So when you think about that, how would you guide the city in developing an infill development plan within the city's boundaries? How do you manage those challenges? So, Councilwoman, we'll turn to you to answer that question first.
Well, the solution is that we have to get land back from the federal government, because 87% of the land belongs to the federal government. I know the governor is working on that. I know I went with the city delegation a couple of years ago when we were in the fly-in, and we met with our congressman and talked about how important it is to get some of this land back. But it is challenging. But we have 4 projects right now that we're working on that we got from the federal government for affordable housing. So we continue to do what we have. We're planning for the future. We've already done our planning into 2050, but at some point, we're going to have to start building up.
Thank you. Congresswoman Berkley.
Actually, I am very delighted that Governor Lombardo was working with the congressional delegation to get BLM land ceded to the city of Las Vegas so we can continue our growth. Now, when I was in Congress and got the funding for the VA hospital that was in my congressional district, that was built on former BLM land that we were able to transfer. So I think I could be of a tremendous help in working with the governor and the congressional delegation to get more lands for future development in the city of Las Vegas. More than that, the city has passed, I think Brian Knudsen introduced an ordinance which makes it easier to develop in the city of Las Vegas. More density, less parking, less restrictions when it comes to permitting. I think that's a very important step. And working collaboratively with the other jurisdictions. We are all in this together, whether we are in the county, in the city, in North Las Vegas, in Henderson. This is a small valley, and it is growing by population. If we all work together, I am very confident that we can come up with solutions that will expand our footprint in the Las Vegas Valley, provide more land for future development, and give people an opportunity to not only live here, but to work here and strive here and thrive here.
Okay, I appreciate both of your answers. But both of your answers were add land supply. So this is when you hate it that I'm a former city manager, okay?
She said
So
build up.
So here's the thing. Infill actually really requires a different kind of approach to zoning. Oh boy, here comes Jeffrey. He's going to come up here and paw me on the back of the head when I start talking about this. But it could be, expanding your form-based zoning code or things like that, that maybe Councilman Knudsen worked through. But the point is, you're going to continue to have neighborhood challenges.
That's right.
And both of you have talked about, pulling together stakeholders, pulling together groups that are impacted by these decisions. Infill is particularly challenging. And the cities, even though you may get, close to 3,000 acres out of this new lands bill, it's way out in the Northwest. It's going to take a while to get some infrastructure out there. It's going to take a while. So I'm going to ask you just real quick, give you each just a minute. Do you have some ideas about how you would manage infill in the heart of the city, where there are parcels that are undeveloped or underdeveloped, and how you would navigate that, how you would lead that conversation with those people? So,
yeah,
Councilwoman.
Yeah, and I work really closely with our planning director. There are some things that in code that I need explained to me, and the questions that I always talk about when I meet with the planning director, and we need to make some decisions, and we need to look at what you're talking about with infill. I ask him, don't tell me that we can't do it, tell me how we can do it. Because it takes our group of city people to come together and work on those things. And we will do that. If it's needed, we are going to do that.
Thank you. Congresswoman.
Where appropriate, we should do everything we can to develop infill. But there are certain areas and certain neighborhoods in the city of Las Vegas that don't want it. And I think we need to be sensitive to their needs as well. and make sure that we are doing something compatible with the neighborhood that they could be proud of, that they could embrace and want to have a part of and share in. We're running out, there's no doubt, we're running out of land. When I was a kid and my family moved to Vegas, the last street in Las Vegas was Eastern. The last street in the west was Decatur. There were 80,000 people in the Las Vegas Valley. There's now 2.5 million in the same geographic area. You do the infill where it's appropriate, and you don't where it's not. And it takes time, it takes educating the community and the neighborhood. And sometimes when you sit down and talk with the neighborhood, they will come to a different conclusion than not in my backyard. But we need buy-in from the neighborhood as well.
Thank you. Okay, so I've been given the high sign
Oh.
from the chamber team that we need to start to wrap things up.
Oh.
So I'm going to move to a final question, and then we'll go to final remarks. Both of you have talked about healthcare and advancing healthcare in the city of Las Vegas, particularly the medical district. There's been a tremendous amount of investment and focus on the medical district by this city council, former city councils. You know, you've got the presence of the Kirk Kerkorian Medical School, UMC, and a variety of other medical providers, Steinberg, et cetera,
Valley.
in that area. Yes. And so I wanted to hear how you feel about, as mayor, where do you take that medical district? And as a follow-up question, do we see a standalone children's hospital in the medical district in the city of Las Vegas? So we will start with Councilwoman Berkley.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, Congresswoman Berkley, apologize.
That's perfectly all right. I know what I am. This is a particularly exciting issue for me because I have so much background and experience, and being married to a doctor is not the experience that one needs in order to help with the medical district. All of the knowledge that I acquired as the CEO and senior provost of 2 medical schools, the one here in Nevada and one in Northern California, the 2 most successful medical schools in their respective states, I can transfer over to the medical district. I've worked very closely with UMC. So many Touro students were doing their residency there. I worked so closely with the dean of the medical school of UNLV because we were all in this together. And I just saw Roseman is represented here, and I want to give them a shout out because they've been wonderful partners. We're about 2,000 doctors short right now. Touro's graduating 180 future doctors every year. UNLV 60, UNR 60. Hopefully Roseman will get their accreditation and they're going to be part of the mix. We have it within ourselves to be able to provide the requisite number of doctors that we need for our population. Why don't we have it? For a few reasons. We need residency programs, and I've spoken with the last 3 governors to get funding for graduate medical education. After 4 years as a medical student, you still can't practice medicine. You need 3 extra years. The state of Nevada does not have enough residency programs to keep future doctors here. So we're educating a whole bunch of people to go practice medicine someplace else. We need to increase Medicaid reimbursement because right now it doesn't.
Okay.
I know I'm out of town.
All right.
This is something we can spend an entire debate on.
Of
'cause
course.
It is so very important. to
and
the
we probably
future.
have.
I will look
Yeah.
forward to that.
Okay, Councilwoman. Councilwoman, I do want, you may want to also elaborate a little bit on that public lands bill. Actually return some land in the northwest in your district, I believe, to Roseman to be able to develop as a medical district as well. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, it's very important that we do as much as we can to diversify the medical, not just the district, but medicine in Southern Nevada because we are growing so fast. And I think whatever it takes, tax increment funding, whatever we can do to bring companies here, And that's what I think the city does great work at, is trying to bring in businesses. And standalone children's hospital, I've been advocating now for almost 5 years. My daughter was born with a severe laryngeal web, and she spent the first year of her life in a hospital, and she was trached. And I just can't even imagine if I was living here without a hospital, because I was a single mom and I had to work. I was running a business. And so it's really important for those folks that come to my office and tell me their stories of how they have to take their children out of state. Even if it's not a we have, don't get me wrong, we have great wards in our hospital. We have great medical. But I think a specialized children's hospital would make such a difference, especially since in Southern Nevada, we're like 2.5 million people. So I don't care if it's in the county, I don't care if it's in the city, I just know that it would benefit all Nevadans.
Thank you. All right, so what I would like to do now is move to final remarks. And at this point, Councilwoman, you get first dibs on final remarks. So you'll have a minute to share your concluding remarks, and then you'll be followed by Congresswoman Berkley, and then I'll make a few closing remarks, and we'll wish everyone well.
Thank you, and thank you so much for inviting us here for this very important forum. So whether it's public safety, affordable housing, or the unhoused, I can promise you this: we're going to tackle those issues. We have been, and we're going to continue to do that, because it's so important that the leader of this city is a bold leader, someone that's not afraid to tackle those issues. And as I said earlier, if we don't have a safe environment, then nothing else matters. And I have been endorsed by all the police associations in Nevada because they know that I support them, and I will continue to support them, not just by not defunding them, but actually giving them the tools that they need to keep everyone safe. But I support them also morally. I think that is one of our most important things, so we can continue to thrive as a city. We are a world-class city, and I would be honored, just very honored, to be your mayor and represent everyone. So thank you very much for having me here today.
Thank you. Congresswoman.
Thank you, Betsy. The city of Las Vegas is going to explode in a very positive way over the next decade, and we need to ensure that everybody that wants to be a part of that success has the opportunity to do it. These are the issues that are front and center: public safety, homelessness, affordable housing, economic growth and development. We need somebody with a steady hand and someone that is knowledgeable on all the issues that are going to be confronting the city over the next decade. I believe I am the person that best exemplifies the needs, what we need as mayor of the city of Las Vegas. And then once you tackle the immediate issues, then you start working collaboratively with the other jurisdictions to ensure that we have better transportation options, that we have access to affordable health care for all Nevada citizens, and to ensure that our children get the best possible education. That is the future. It's a future of our democracy, to have a well-educated electorate that makes informed decisions at the ballot box, and it's also important for our economy to keep people working. I am so excited about the prospects for the future, bringing art to, and it already exists, but making it exceedingly special in the city of Las Vegas, tackling technology, being the hub of technology. Right now, we are the gaming capital, the entertainment capital. We're going to be the sports capital of the world. We're a world-class destination for tourism. How about we are a world-class place for people to call home? That's my goal, that's my desire, and that's what I will deliver for you as your next mayor. And I thank you so much for your consideration and your vote.
Thank you. Thank you both for taking the time and participating today. Your answers were very insightful, and I truly appreciate it. This community means the world to me, and I know it means the world to everybody who took the time to come here to this lunch. And so your willingness to step up and run is so meaningful, because that is a thankless act. And so to both of you,
Thank you.
yes,
And,
thank you.
and
We
Betsy, we all appreciate you.
Oh, well, thank you. I thank you for that. I thank you for your candor today, for your preparation, your willingness to go on stage and have these kinds of conversations and debates. And we wish you the best of luck over the next 100 or so days. And
97, but who's counting?
okay.